Never on as quiet.
They're off. The Unibet Champion Hurdle of 2020. The final flight, Epatante jumps to the front. Epatante is in front, and she's not for catching. Driven out by Barry Geraghty. Epatante sinks the Champion Hurdle.
A jumping exhibition from Politolo. He's run ragged this afternoon. He's jumped superbly. A fifth festival run, a first festival victory. The champion chasers Politolo.
Min picks up well. It's a big jump. Min from St. Calvados. Min is hanging on grimly to win the Ryanair.
The final flight on the Stayers Hurdle. Listener Oscar led by a length and a half. And Listener Oscar has taken the Stayers Hurdle.
Album photo on the far side of Lost in Translation. Album photo, back-to-back Gold Cup. Album photo, the 8th Baltimore winner of the Cheltenham Gold Cup.
Hello everyone, and a very warm welcome to the official preview to the Cheltenham Festival supporting Well Child. And what an evening we've got for you, what a lineup we've got for you. I know it's a festival like no other. I know we're not going to hear the roar, but the beating heart of Cheltenham is the sport, and that is going to be exactly the same as it's always been. But before we go any further, let's find out a little bit more about the work of Well Child. Well, please do support Well Child. It's a charity that's nationwide, but based here in Cheltenham, and we're going to be supporting it throughout the week of the festival. But let's get underway and introduce our panel, and what a panel it is. They've won more races at the festival than anyone else. They're the three winning most jockeys of all time, and we've got a great young tipster, the up-and-coming star in the press room in Josh Stacey. So, Josh, a very warm welcome, and please give a warm welcome this evening to Sir Anthony McCoy, to Ruby Walsh, and to Barry Geraghty. They've won 103 festival races between them, but thank God we've got a tipster here as well in Josh. And we've got our first question in, boys. who is the best tipster of the four of you? That's what Jane Evans off Instagram wants to know. AP, you answer that first, please.
Definitely not me. And it's probably not the two other ex-jockeys either. So I think it's Joshua, to be fair.
Barry?
No, I'd go with that. I'd agree with that. And I have no faith in Ruby and AP either.
And Ruby, you're hot from Holyhead in the car. The others, I like the others have made an effort. We've got, Sports Personality of the Year trophies behind Sir Anthony. We've got great champion hurdle winning pictures behind Barry. And where are you? You're in the pitch dark, somebody in West Wales, are you?
I'm on the M6, I think now, Alice, but I'm happy enough with all those things in my head. I don't need to show off my trophies to let people know what I won.
Well, good you're making the pilgrimage. We can't wait to see you here. And let's get underway and have a start and get our teeth stuck into. We're going to look at the major races on each day. So let's start, of course, with the Unibet Champion Hurdle on the Tuesday. And Barry, it's a race you absolutely love. You are the current champion. And let's start off by watching you win the race last year on the great Epatante, who returns again, the returning champion. And just talk us through the closing stages of the race.
She travelled into the race brilliantly. And I suppose the only concern going into the race was the ground was so soft. We were hoping for better ground, but she seemed to cope with it. Jumped brilliantly, travelled really well, and picked up when she was needed then from the last. And it was a good, solid performance. And physically, she can only have improved from then. And I think the better ground that she's going to have this week coming is only going to play to her strengths.
Yeah, let's have a look at that race. She was brilliant. She was brilliant coming into it. The year before, she'd sort of blown her brain a little bit, hadn't she, when she'd come to the festival with big expectations, and she'd absolutely lost her marbles.
She did. There was also that she had got the vaccine beforehand with the equine flu, so that didn't help either, but she was very keen going to post. She got very lit up, missed a couple of hurdles and was well beaten, but she got it all together here 12 months ago on the champion hurdle. As I said, she travelled really well, followed Darver Star into the race and just challenged with a good jump at the last. And I'd loads in the tank and she pulled out plenty from the last, and she pulled away by about 3 or 4 lengths. Sharjah was the horse that came out of the field, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him chase her home again.
What did you make of what happened last time when she got beat by Silver Streak?
Yeah, she obviously had an issue in her back, and she didn't run to her best. But Silver Streak is a good horse, and he's been ridden more prominently these days, and I think that's playing more to his strengths. But you would forgive her that. Nicky's very happy with her. I spoke to him at length, and he says she's in really good form. So I would have expected improvement in her from last year to this year, because she has done really well physically. She's a much bigger, stronger filly. So I think if she's fit and well, which I believe she is, I think on this ground, good to soft, she's going to be hard to beat.
You touch on the ground, and I think we can hear from Simon Clace, because Clerk of the Course Simon Clace spoke to us earlier on today about conditions here at Cheltenham. We've had a very, very wet winter, but I think what's interesting, and I'll talk to you boys about it later, is that the last 2 meetings have been abandoned here at Cheltenham. So the footing should be absolutely perfect, because it hasn't been opened up in the last 2 meetings, where sometimes it gets some real hammer. But let's hear from Simon Clace, the Clerk of the Course, on conditions here at Cheltenham ahead of the 4-day festival.
Hi Alice, hi everybody. I hope you're enjoying the preview evening. We're recording this 48 hours before racing kicks off at 1:20 on Tuesday. There's a bit of cloud in the sky, a few sunny breaks, and there may be a little bit of rain later this afternoon, but not a great deal. Currently, the going on the chase and hurdle courses for Tuesday is good to soft, and the cross-country course in use on Wednesday, good to soft, soft in places. The outlook from Tuesday is high pressure dominating our weather, and we're expecting conditions to be mostly dry throughout the week, with temperatures around about 10 degrees.
AP, are you surprised to hear that the ground here is good to soft ahead of the opening day of the festival?
Very quickly there, Alice. The thing about it is, if we had any rain at all, there's so much moisture in the ground that it would probably get slow very quickly. As Barry said, having won an Epatante last year, the drier the ground, the better for her. She probably looks the fastest of all the others. Honeysuckle was really impressive in Ireland last time. She jumps. That was the first time I saw her jump like a real champion hurdler. Goshan got back to form, winning at Wincanton last time, but can he give £7 to two mares as good as the two of those are? There's no doubt Epatante was disappointing at Christmas behind Silver Streak, and Silver Streak probably didn't get enough credit, but it's a better champion hurdle than it was last year. So Epatante will need to be better, but I think the ground, the fact it's dried that little bit, will definitely give her a better chance of beating Honeysuckle.
Well, Ruby and Josh, we'll hear from you in just a minute, but let's have a look at that champion hurdle in Ireland that AP is referring to, and then hear from the great jockey Rachel Blackmore.
And the leader is Honeysuckle with Abracadabra gone in pursuit. Charges to do on the outside of Sanois. Petit Mouchoir weakens ahead of Saldir, but Honeysuckle is clear of the field. Coming down to the final flight is 6 lengths up on Abracadabra, and then Charge and Sanois at the final flight. And it's Honeysuckle and Rachel Blackmore steady into it. Safely over by 6 to 7 lengths from Abracadabra, and third is Charge, and then comes Sanois. But up towards the finish, it's Honeysuckle and Rachel Blackmore. 2 stars aligned. Retain the Chanel Farmer Irish Champion Hurdle. Second is Abracadabra, and third is Charge, and fourth.
Well, Rachel, welcome to the show, and just great to have you here. We've loved watching from the UK your fantastic season unfold over in Ireland. How's it been your end?
Yeah, look, it's been great. We've had a fantastic year so far. So, you know, this is the important week. So hopefully the success can carry through.
You've got the most extraordinary book of rides, strength and depth, all sorts of trainers supporting you. But of course, your main boss, Henry de Bromhead, and you teaming up with the wonderful Honeysuckle. It's the sort of the two girls going to war together. She is something else, isn't she?
Yeah, she's incredible. You know, she's never let us down so far, and I'm just hoping that we can continue that on Tuesday.
What is it about her that makes her so good?
She's just incredible. Like she digs deep when she has to. She gets me out of trouble when she has to. She's just been phenomenal. I can't find any fault with her, and it's just fantastic to be involved with something of her caliber. You know, it's what every jockey kind of dreams about, getting teamed up with something like her. So it's just a privilege.
This year, it seemed like it was just an absolute no-brainer that the champion hurdle was where she had to go after that brilliant performance in the Irish champion hurdle.
You know, Kenny Alexander, his main aim was, you know, to win the Mayor's Hurdle in Cheltenham, and that was a fantastic achievement for him to be able to do, you know, with the help of Peter Maloney. So, you know, we got that done last year, and I think her performance in Leopardstown was ultra impressive, and yeah, you know, why not have a stab at it?
It is the ultimate, the champion hurdle. Who do you see as the main danger? If you weren't riding her, who would you want to be riding?
Look, it's an extremely competitive race. You know, these championship races are unbelievable. Obviously, Epatante from last year. You know, Goshen has been, you know, very good the last day, and what he was going to do last year as well. So, look, it's extremely competitive. But, you know, hopefully we're on our A game and we can produce the goods again.
So out of the rest of your book, who would be the one you're most looking forward to riding?
As you said, I've a massively, I've a massive good book of rides. You know, the likes of Champagne Gold, if he goes for one of the handicaps, you know, Captain Guinness, Notebook, like, you know, you're looking forward to a lot of them. So obviously the Gold Cup, Apple Tar, very much looking forward to riding him as well. You know, I could be here all day listing them all off together.
Well, look, safe journey over. Look forward to seeing you come Tuesday.
Thanks, everyone. See you all.
Ruby, just a word on Rachel Blackmore. For many of the racing fans here, we don't get to see her that often. What is it about her? I mean, this kid seems to have no chink in her armour. I think we've lost Ruby there, have we? So Barry, you answer that for me. Rachel Blackmore, can she be the champion jockey in Ireland?
She can. She's been knocking on the door the last couple of seasons, riding brilliantly. She's got a great supply from Henry mostly, I suppose, but also rides for Willie as well. And she's in demand. She's a high-class rider, and you know, she gets the job done. She rarely makes a fault, and herself and Honeysuckle have gone on brilliantly. And she gave Honeysuckle a brilliant ride last year to win the Mayor's Hurdle. She sneaked up through the inside. She looked beaten, and she pulled it out of the fire. So, no, Rachel is top class.
She really is top class. Josh, what's your selection for the champion hurdle? Let's have a look at the prices now, and just tell us who you're going for.
First of all, thank you. It's a privilege to be involved. I must admit, when I was asked and saw the panel, I wasn't sure if I'd won some sort of fan competition or you needed a T-boy. But yeah, I can't wait. I quite like Honeysuckle. 10 from 10. She's won over 2 miles. She's won over 2 1/4, 2 1/2. She's won on good, soft and heavy. And I think she's improving as well. The best performance was that Irish champion hurdle. It's the best round of jumping we've seen from her. And I think she's going to be very, very tricky to beat.
So there are the prices. Let's hear from AP. We've got a question. If you could have one festival ride again, AP, and do things differently, which would it be and what would you do differently? That's from Cian O'Neill on Facebook.
Well, only one ride. There's a lot more.
Just one.
There's a lot more than one, Alice. There's the horses I rode in the champion hurdle. I wouldn't mind another going binocular in 2009. Sir de Champ in the Gold Cup. Actually, Barry beat me both times. Wouldn't mind another go on him as well.
Oh God, here we go, Barry. Here we go. Let's wind him up.
There's lots, Alice.
Let's wind him up. Well, we've actually had lots of stars get in touch with us ahead of this preview, and we're so grateful. So get your notepads out because we've got someone from each day, and let's start with none other than Paul Nicholls with his dark horse and his best bet for the week.
Well, my banker for the meeting of the horses I run is A Brave Man's Game in the Ballymore Novices Hurdle. I think he's got an outstanding chance, done nothing wrong all season, and can't wait to run him. A dark horse for the festival next week's not the easiest thing to choose from amongst ours, but one I'm going to go with is Stormer Rising in the Potemps final. I think he's improving horse, won well at Chepstow the last day, and we purposely not exposed him since and kept him fresh. So Storm Rising, my dark horse.
Thanks so much to Paul Nicholls. I think we've lost Ruby. Safe to say we've lost Ruby.
No, I'm still here, Alice.
Oh, you're there. Oh, hello. Nice to hear you if we can't see you. Rubes, can we have your best bet outside the champion hurdle, please, for day one?
Outside the champion hurdle, next destination in the National Chase. I think he's an incredible price now with no Royal Pagai. I think his form, he's a dual grade 1 win and novice hurdler. I think he's the best horse in the race.
Josh, your best bet outside the champion hurdle for day one?
Not very original, but Concertista in the Mares Hurdle. She was electric in the Mares Novice last year and she's improving, and you've only got to look at Willie Mullins' record in the race to know that she's got an outstanding chance.
Barry?
I was going Concertista as well, but if I can't pick him, I'll pick Shishkin.
And AP?
I'll pick Roxana to beat her. So I like Roxana, very solid. She's done nothing but improve.
Well done. Let's move on to day two, the Betway Queen Mother Champion Chase. And let's get underway with hearing from Harry Skelton.
Well, Harry, thank you so much for joining us. You're so the man of the moment, absolutely flying going into the biggest week of the year. The returning champion of the Champion Chase, but not on your old friend Politolog. How tough is that?
Yeah, it's obviously Politolog last year certainly gave me a day to remember. And unfortunately, I won't be on him this year, but obviously, Dan's stable jockey, and he has a run in the race, so I have to ride him. So I'm sure Politolog will give his run in, and he'll be a tough nut to crack.
What is it about him? He's the kind of one that we know always runs his race. He's the standard bearer, isn't he, old Politolog? And Paul's done such a brilliant job with him to keep him fresh and keep him hungry for the game. Yeah, I mean, under Paul's supervision, absolutely no stone left unturned. And I remember getting on him last year, and he didn't feel his age at all. And it's a credit to Paul and his team for turning him back round. And he was absolutely thriving last year. He goes out there, he likes to get on with things, he enjoys it out in front, and he's a good solid jumper and stays really well. And that's what makes him so good. He's a big heart, and he knows how to fight, and he knows where the winning line is. It's a very different race this year. Obviously, the race slightly fell apart going into it last year. Chacun pour soi at the moment in there, Altior in there, and you've got the young pretender Nuba Negra, who beat Altior last time and looked very, very impressive. What can you tell us about him? Because it's a lovely story about your dad and show jumping and how he's ended up coming to you and even setting up a stud off the back of it. Yeah, obviously not everyone's pick, probably a Spanish horse, but
We got him from a friend of Dad's, Luis Severa. He'd done all right on the flat in Spain, and he started jumping him, and he spoke to my dad and said, I think I've got a horse here that might be all right. He jumps great, and why don't I send him over a few boys and see what they can do with him. He did well in novice chasing last year. Probably just got outstayed at Sandown in the Grade 1. Then obviously we didn't get our chance to run at Aintree, but to be honest, the time that he's had from then till now has probably done him the world of good. Really, he's a big, strong horse now. We went to Kempton, and we knew we'd done plenty of work with him. But you're taking on the mighty Altior, and you never sort of expect to go and do what we did to him. But he was very impressive, travelled very well, jumped very well, and to be honest, he was never out of second gear, and he won in second gear. So we're very excited about him.
And Harry, is it different for you going back there knowing you can win it?
Yeah. It's great. It was great to win it. It's one of the races that I'm sure is high up on every jockey's list to win. And going into the race this year, I'm very confident with the horse I've got. He's in great form. He travels real well. He's a good slick jumper, and he's in good form.
Well, listen, great to talk to you, and best of luck for a safe week, and well done on such a fantastic season to you and Dan so far, and let's hope it continues on into the biggest week of them all. Thanks, Harry.
Thank you.
So, boys, Harry Skelton there, of course, the returning champion, but not riding Politologue. Ruby, we can't see you, but I'm hoping you can see us, because Chacun pour Soi is obviously the star turn for the champion chase. Got pulled out at literally the last minute last year, but has looked super impressive this year. And we're going to have a look at his win in the Ladbrokes Dublin Chase. And once again, Ruby, very, very smart performance.
Yeah, he was, and it was the last minute last year, Alice. I mean, I walked into the track and was standing beside AP statue talking to Martin Pipe, and he told me he was out. I just watched him riding out that morning, but he got a stone bruise whilst riding out, and unfortunately missed the race. But he's been rock solid this year. I wasn't overly impressed with him in the hilly way. His first start in Cork, his jumping wasn't as slick as it could have been, but he improved a hell of a lot from that. Won at Christmas in Leopardstown, and at the Dublin Racing Festival, he was very good. I mean, he proved at the Dublin Racing Festival that he can be ridden more than just one way. I mean, Paul was able to take his time on him. He followed Notebook and Fakir Dudaris into the straight, got a split between them going to the last, jumped really well and quickened up smartly to win. Like, he is 9, he's not a young horse by any manner of means, but his form is rock solid, and I think his form has been the best 2-mile form for the last 18 months.
And like you say, he is 9, but he missed 2 years, didn't he, with injury when he first came over from France. And so he actually hasn't had that much racing.
No, very little. His first run over fences was this time 2 years ago. And on his second start, he beat Deafy Desai at Punchestown on the Thursday in the Ryanair Novice Chase. So, look, he is lightly raced for a horse of his age. He's in great form. And, look, other than, as AP said before we came on air, other than Willie Mullins, being a poor trainer of champion chase horses, he should be okay.
Josh, what's your fancy in the race?
Yeah, tricky. Politologue probably didn't win a vintage champion chase last year. Definitely wasn't himself, and he beat Dynamite Dollars and Bundaran. And first flow will need a monsoon between now and the champion chase. I don't see any reason why Altior would reverse the form with Nube Negra, so I'd probably be sticking with the Irish. Chacun pour Soi hasn't put a foot wrong all season, but put the kettle on to place.
Put the kettle on, last year's ARCA winner. Let's have a look at the market, Barry and AP. AP, what's your take on the race?
Yeah, as Ruby said, it's hard to get away from Chacun pour Soi. He's been very solid. And I was saying about William Mullins not being a very good trainer of champion chase winners. I actually like one of his other horses. I don't know if he's going to run or not, Steelers Emery. I thought he won really well in Naas last time. He ran really well in the champion hurdle last year. He got beat first time this season by Bakazan, but I actually thought his performance in Naas last time was pretty solid. And I think at 20-1, I think he's got a great each way chance. But I do think Chacun pour Soi will win. Barry,
you love this race, Sprinter Sacra, Moscow Flyer, going back some years. It's a thriller, isn't it? It's a thriller of a race. Watching the best of the best going flat to the mat over Cheltenham's chase track is really exciting.
That's the best. It's a brilliant buzz, and when you get a real proper 2-mile chaser, there is no better buzz. And Chacun pour Soi, he ticks all the boxes, and more than that, he's a lot of class. He was very good in Leopardstown last day, and he's going to be very hard to beat. Altior, I believe, is going to have cheek pieces, which is going to help him and sharpen his jumping. And he wasn't at full health at Christmas in Kempton, so there's better to come from him. I think he's next best, but I'd be with AP on Celius Emery. I think he's a little bit of value to run a big race.
I think it's interesting you're talking about Altior. I mean, you were part of the Sprinter Sacra comeback. We know the boss, Nicky Henderson, can do it. Do you think he can do a Sprinter Sacra with Altior?
I'm not fully sure. He doesn't have the same battle on his hands to get him back to full health. He isn't coming back from the same illness or the length of time. But he's 11-year-old. He probably doesn't have the pace that he had when he won this race 2 years ago. So it's more a lack of pace that he's dealing with than I think health issues. So, and he's meeting a very solid horse in Cheltenham Festival. So I think he has it to do to beat him.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's hear from another of our contributing stars with his horse to follow and dark horse. This time, it's Patrick Mullins.
Hi everyone, Patrick Mullins here. I hope you're enjoying your preview evening. I think our banker next week is this horse here beside me, Kilcrut, in the Weatherby's Champion Bumper. I think he showed in Leopardstown he can handle a real strong gallop, and in Navan he showed he had a turn of foot. So for me, he has everything needed to win the Champion Bumper for us once again. As for a dark horse, I think Galloping Deschamps is a horse that might be ahead of the handicapper. Now he has several different entries, and Willie B. Willie won't make his mind up until the last minute, but I think he's definitely a horse worth keeping an eye out on wherever he turns up. I hope everyone enjoys next week. Thanks very much.
So Kilcrut and Gallopin Deschamps from Patrick Mullins. Thank you to him. We've got a question from the audience for you, Barry. If you could ride one horse at this year's festival, which would it be? Thank you to Bowie on Twitter.
Well, there's lots of great rides and great horses you'd love to be on, but the Gold Cup is the race that you want to win more than any of them. And I think Champ is the biggest danger to Album Photo, so I wouldn't mind having a go on Champ.
Okay, AP, can we have your best bet for day two?
It's hard to tip anything after listening to Patrick Mullins. When he's looking at those things every day and he's giving you two horses to follow, it's hard not to go with him. I thought Bob Ollinger would be very difficult to beat in the first race, and I also think Easy Lands will be. Look, Easy Lands rated the same as Santini and those horses that run in the Gold Cup. You know, the handicapper must have it badly wrong if he can't win the cross country race.
Barry, best bet for day three.
Well, I was surprised the Patrick with Bumper horse. I was going with Cheltenham Festival, and I'd agree with AP on Easy Land.
Okay, Josh.
Itukus in the Grand Annual. I think this has been the target for a while. He's got valuable handicap experience, and novices have a good record in the race.
Ruby, your best bet for day two. Is he there? No, he's not. Okay, let's move on to day three. And it's, of course, two real good races. Well, we've got so many good races. 14 grade ones out of the 28 races over the 4 days. The Ryanair Chase and the Paddy Power Stayers Hurdle are the two races we're going to focus on. And let's start off by hearing from a real old friend of Cheltenham and hear from Kim Bailey.
Well, Kim, thank you so much for joining us in what I know is a really busy build-up to the Cheltenham Festival. But how exciting to have such a strong team and particularly such a great chance in Imperial Aura for the Ryanair.
Well, as you rightly say, Alice, it's what we do it for. It's great to have so many nice horses going to the meeting. And obviously Imperial Aura is our flagship borough in many respects. So it is an exciting time.
You've had so much success there over the years. How's the build-up changed for you now? When we look back to the years of the great Master Oaks and winning the Gold Cup and the Champion Hurdle, is it different now?
Yeah, it is extraordinary. I mean, I don't recall a situation whereby we've been that busy media-wise this year. Perhaps it's because all these Cheltenham previews have been cancelled and they're desperate for things to go and do. But I'm not complaining. It's a nice situation to be in.
And tell us about the horse.
Well, the horse, he's a very normal individual. He's certainly, if you watch him go up the gallants, he doesn't give the impression he's a superstar by any means. He's not the best workhorse in the yard. He's a very laid-back individual. If you're going to be honest about the horse, he's actually a boring horse. And he just gets out of bed, does his work, and goes back to bed. Unlike some horses which need a little bit of tentative handling, he's just a very normal individual. But
you've opted to go for the Ryanair. What made that decision for you?
Well, the decision was made for us really very much after last year's run at Cheltenham. There was never a question of going back in trip. The only way we go forward is to go longer in trip, which is the reason why he has a Gold Cup entry. or did have a Gold Cup entry. And it was a backstop, really, in case something did change around. He's a horse that seems to have plenty of speed. His runs have been very, very good. Have been very electric. I think the race that he won at Cheltenham last year was probably as good a race he's ever run in. It was it's turned out to be a really competitive race. The races he's run in this season have been questionable in their form, really, because the form hasn't really worked out as well as perhaps you'd like to see. But it's the manner in which he won his races that counted.
Won so many Grade Ones over the years, but to be competitive again with a horse like this, how good was it for your team?
Well, at the end of it, it's whatever we do in life is a team effort. I mean, every trainer's backed by a really good team to get to, we can't do it without the team behind us. And to have a Grade 1 winner of any description is huge. And I have to say that I didn't realise how big it was until First Flow went and won at Ascot. But I just couldn't. We were blown over by the reception we had from the number of emails, text messages, and whatever. Whereas you run an ordinary race, you wouldn't probably notice. I was absolutely staggered.
An Imperial Aura can add to that, though, can't he? I mean, you really believe in this horse, don't you?
Yes, I do, yeah. I mean, we all do. And David's got utter faith in him. And he slightly blotted his copybook at Kempton when he unseated him. But I'm convinced that was a lack of concentration, and I'm sure it won't happen again.
Well, very best of luck in the build-up. We can't wait to see you there. I know it's a Cheltenham like no other. We'll certainly be looking forward to seeing your horses on the track. Kim, thanks so much.
Alice, a pleasure to speak to you. Thank you very much.
So let's have a look at the market for that Ryanair chase. AP, what's your take on the race?
I suppose Paul Town and whatever he decides to ride, whether it be Allaho, last year's winner Min, Mellon has been second at 4 Cheltenham Festivals. I actually thought if they rode him like they did in the Savage Chase at Christmas at Leberstown and rode him aggressively or rode him like the way they did there over 3 miles, look how it's mad tipping a horse that's been second at 4 Cheltenham Festivals. So Mellon would be the one I'd like to ride in the Ryanair, Alice.
And the boss, your horse, Faku Duderi.
Yeah, he ran well last time, so he did. He ran well last time. You'd hope the trip will probably help him. Got put in his place by Shaq and Passois, but that was a good run. Ran well in the Arkle last year. So, trip might help him. Won't mind the ground. So, just don't know. It's just hard to know whether he's a real top-notcher. Min, has been there and done it. I don't know whether Faku Duderi, just the trip might help him. That's what you're hoping.
Is it about those returning champs, Barry, or can anyone sneak in there?
I don't know. There's question marks over them all. AP mentioned Mellon. Allaho is a horse. He is a good horse, but he's been beaten on a good few occasions too. So he's a little bit unpredictable. Min didn't turn up last time in Leopardstown, so you need to give him that. So it's a tricky race. I think you could run it 5 times and get 5 different results. And I thought Faku Duderi, that was a great run over 2 mile on unreasonable ground, good to soft, you could say. I think he's a good each way shout in a very open race.
Josh?
I agree with Barry. Faku Duderi, he doesn't quite stay 3 miles and he's not quick enough for 2. And I think he'll relish the intermediate trip, and his best form has come over that distance. I think last year finishing second to Shaq and Passois worked for Min, so why couldn't it work for Faku Duderi?
Have we got a ruby? No. So we don't have a ruby. So let's move on and have a look at the stayers, the Paddy Power Stayers Hurdle. And where better to start than to hear from Emma Lavelle.
Oh, Emma, welcome. And Paisley Park, welcome. Great to see you both. He looks fantastic. How is he?
He's in great form. He's in absolutely brilliant form. He's had a great preparation to now, and he's absolutely loving standing in the sunshine.
You've had such an extraordinary road to Cheltenham with him. The first year you arrived and you won it. Last year you came as the returning champion, and it couldn't have been more disappointing or more worrying. This year you go in for your 3rd tilt at the Stayers Hurdle. What sort of context are you looking at this year?
Like you say, it's been an amazing journey with him, and last year clearly didn't go as we'd hoped, and I'm just, I'm delighted with the preparation that we've had with him this year. We've sort of all got our confidence back again, and I think he goes there as a stronger stronger horse in great order, and we're really excited.
Did any reason come out of why that heart fibrillation happened last year? Because obviously all the signs were that he was in great shape going into it last year, and then you were surprised as anyone.
Absolutely, he trained well. He'd probably been very much more relaxed in his training. Like Barry would have to just ask a little bit more last year in his work. But in fairness, he was a year older, and horses get a little bit wiser. So whether there was an underlying thing that we just didn't know about at that stage, I don't know. But he'd won his 2 prep races really impressively. So there was no reason for us to suspect that he wasn't going to go and run a big one at Cheltenham. We were in a very fortunate position that he rectified the fibrillation himself. He didn't need any veterinary intervention, and had a lovely long summer to get over it. This year, he's just come back in. He's been, his work, all he's been doing is waiting for us to tell him to do a bit more. He's asking to do more rather than us having to ask him to do more, if that makes sense. And he is just, he's been brilliant. He's been strong. His first run, it was just a great confidence booster for all of us. And his second run at Ascot, when he, winning the long walk, it was a really proud moment for us all to have got him back to winning a Grade 1 like that. It was just.
Do you believe he's as good as ever, Em?
Oh, I think he's better than we've ever had him. He's just physically stronger. His work has been probably better than ever. And I think that if we get a fair crack at it, he's gonna take a bit of beating.
Well, great to see Emma and, of course, Paisley Park, and fantastic. Fingers crossed that they make it, because real disappointment, of course, Josh, is that Time Hill is out of the race. What do you make of Paisley Park?
He's a brilliant horse. Last year it was a strange run race, and obviously the issues that he had were telling, and he's been a completely different horse this year. Look back to his best last time out in the long walk, beating Time Hill. It's a massive shame that Time Hill isn't running in the race. I'd have loved to see the Clash 3.
Absolutely. Let's just remind ourselves of just how good that Ascot long walk hurdle was. And
Roxana trying to join in as well as they head down towards the last in the long walk. Time Hill is over in the lead from Roxana. Paisley Park staying on stoutly on the outside. Time Hill from Roxana as they enter the final 150 yards. Still Paisley Park is staying on stoutly. Time Hill, Paisley Park is coming. Time Hill, Paisley Park. 2 epic staying hurdlers, and it's the old champion, Paisley Park, who's run down.
It's unbelievable, Barry. Every time I watch that, I cannot believe that Paisley Park gets there. It's the most incredible run for a stayer who's supposed to be, stayers are supposed to be slow, aren't they?
I know. He has great finishing speed. And he got a lot of trouble turning in. So he made up a lot of ground from the turn in to the line. And it was a brilliant performance. But he's a classy horse. And he has by far and away the strongest form in the book. Sarah Burley, who won the Prudential last year, disappointed at Christmas when Gordon's horses weren't flying. So there's possibly improvement in him. Flooring Porter won well in Leopardstown, but he's only a 6-year-old, and I wouldn't be so keen on a 6-year-old just whether he would have the resilience for a race like this. So I think Paisley Park could be shorter of price than he is. Really, I think he's going to be very hard to beat.
AP, let's have a look at the market for the Paddy Power Stayers Hurdle. Do you think that what happened last year with Paisley Park just reminds people that these horses aren't machines, and it's perhaps given you better value about him than maybe you would have had, as Barry said, had that not have happened?
Yeah, possibly, Alice. I look like everyone. I thought he was a good thing for last year's Stayers Hurdle, and obviously he disappointed. I thought his return run at Newbury was pretty good, and I thought last time at Ascot in the long walk, he got out of a little bit of trouble, got caught for pace off the bend, but the ground he made up from the last of the winning post, and he was going to beat Tyne Hill snug. I know a lot of people fancied Tyne Hill to maybe beat him again, but I thought staying is what won on the long walk, and I think he'll be very, very difficult to beat again. I think he's the best horse in the race. I think Beacon Edge is an interesting runner for no means if he runs. I thought he it was 2 mile 5. It was the furthest when he won Navan last time. He beat Fury Road, who's like 10-1, who was just behind Monkfish and them on the Albert Bartlett. he looked to me like he definitely would appreciate even stepping up further in trip beacon age. And at 16-1, I thought he might give you a good run for your money for each way punters. But I think Paisley Park's a good thing.
Josh, who's your bet in the race?
Well, I did like Time Hill because I thought that the Albert Bartlett form line from last year was the strongest to come out of the festival. But the horse that beat him into third that day was Fury Road, and he scoped badly at Christmas and in the Boyne Hurdle. So I'll forgive him there. And I think if he does run here, he'll go off a lot shorter, and I think he'll have a huge chance.
I'm going to ask again, have we got a Ruby? No, we still don't have a Ruby. But we do have our continued theme of great guests joining the show, and there's none better than the champ, Nicky Henderson.
My surefire winner for next week's Cheltenham Festival, supporting Wellchild, is going to be Monkfish. And my dark horse for next week's Cheltenham Festival is going to be one of our own, Morning Vicar in the Kimmuir.
I love Nicky. We were hoping that he was going to tell us his greatest, but most likely winner, not Willie Mullins's. But anyway, thank you so much, Nicky, for your contribution. Hugely appreciated. So our question from the audience for this one, and I'm going to give this to, I'm afraid, Josh, I'm going to bypass you on this one. But AP, what's the best horse that you have ever ridden? And that's to both you, AP, and to you, Barry. AP, you first.
I got beat on most of the best horses that I ever ridden, Alice. I actually got beat on Call the Star, and King George. I got beaten Sprint a second at Supreme Novices Hurdle. So I've done well. I was very lucky, Alice. I forgot all about it, but I saw a clip the other day that I won in Viking Flagship in 1996. It was a brilliant horse. And a lot of the good horse that I rode were Spare Rights, Best Mates, Big Bucks, Mastermind, Dawn Cossack. But I was lucky enough to win on English Street, where I got a spare ride in one day and won them. So I got to ride a lot of good horses, unfortunately, when jockeys were injured. So, but yeah, I rode a lot, like not as many good horses as the lads did, but I rode a few.
Barry, the best horse you ever rode?
And Sprinter and Moscow are the two best. I can't split them and never could. So they were two superstars.
They certainly were.
I'm here, Alice. He's
there. He's back in the room. Hey, Ruby, where are you now? Give us an update on your journey.
The M5 is closed, so we had to make a bit of a detour. That's why I had to turn you off to Google Map it. But yeah, look, I'm going back. I was listening for most. I was listening for most of that. Monkfish and Jacques and Poursoir are my best bets on Wednesday. I'd ride Allaho in the Ryanair. I know AP was going for Maine. And Cauto and Hurricane are the best horses I rode.
Brilliant. That you didn't have to say it quite so fast. That's brilliant. Next time there's a diversion and you need to use Google Maps, could you just pull over to a lay-by, because we've got loads of people hanging on your every word, please.
Should have been a notice that I was doing it, would have helped.
Well, look, great to have you back in the room. Anyway, let's move on to the last day, and it's the Wellchild Cheltenham Gold Cup, of course. It's a race that we all love. It's a race that's been a timeline throughout all our lives, whether we've been fans of the sport, whether you guys have been lucky enough to ride in it, where Josh, you've just enjoyed it and it's hooked you into the sport. Let's just remind ourselves of just how wonderful this race is by reminding ourselves of last year's running.
3. They're followed by Monolith. Delta work on their heels now. Real Steel making ground round the outside of Chris's Dream. Two big outsiders, followed by Clandes Oboe. They swing the corner. Album Photo leads again at Cheltenham from Lost in Translation. Santini now asks for the big effort. Real Steel coming there strongly under Brian Hughes on the outside, over 2 out. Album Photo and Lost in Translation. Presenting Percy is gone. It's Album Photo on the far side. Lost in Translation. Santini between them, Real Steel, and then Monolith at the final fence, and both the leaders coming up well. Album Photo on the far side of Lost in Translation. Santini, Monolith, Real Steel, Delta work. Album Photo by a length to Lost in Translation. Santini is staying on strongly, very strongly. Album Photo, back-to-back Gold Cups. Album Photo, the 8th multiple winner of the Cheltenham Gold Cup.
It's just every time you watch that race, it reminds you that those last 2 furlongs, the space and shape of the race can change so much. Ruby, first off, you're obviously right in the thick of Willie Mullins's. Album Photo bidding to be best mate and win 3 Gold Cups. what is it about this horse? Because he's a horse that he's funny. He doesn't really capture the imagination. He's been extraordinary. He's done nothing wrong. He's had the same preparation. Tell us about him.
He's not. I suppose Dallas, if he walked into Willie's and someone said, "Look, that's the horse there that's won 2 Gold Cups." If I sent you out looking for him, you wouldn't find him. You definitely wouldn't come back with him. But he just keeps winning. I mean, he has won 2 Gold Cups. Maybe he hasn't captured the imagination because he hasn't run that often. When he won the Gold Cup, he went to Punchestown and was beaten by Kenboy. Last year, after he won the Gold Cup, there was no Punchestown for him to go back to. And his only other run has been in Tramore. So, look, he's a hell of a good racehorse. And I think if he could win a 3rd Gold Cup as a 9-year-old and maybe try and come back for a 4th as a 10-year-old, I think he'd fairly capture the imagination then.
Definitely. What is it about him, that's so good? Because, of course, Willie had so many near misses with the Gold Cup and so many great staying chasers over the years. And then this lad comes along and wins him too.
Stamina, I think. When you look at it, that's what he has. He has endless stamina. I mean, his 2019 victory in the Gold Cup, it was a relentless one, and he outstayed the opposition. Last year, he won a slower race, but Paul Townend took the bull by the horns and stretched the opposition from 5 out. And I think looking at this year's race, with the pace that could be in it, Frodon, Native River, even Kenboy going forward, I think it'll be a more stamina-sapping race, and he's guaranteed to stay. 3.25 miles and 70 yards is right up his street.
Well, just looking at that race, looking at last year's running of the race, it just reminds us of just how good a horse lost in translation can be, because the last few runs, we could easily be forgiven to forget that. We caught up with Joe Tizard.
Oh, Joe, well, it's great to see you, and thank you so much for joining us. And the Gold Cup is a race that you, the Tizard team, have held very close to your heart forever.
Yeah, it's a race I always remember growing up watching as a child, and we've been lucky as a team to have runners in it, and lucky enough to win it with Native River. So it's it's close to everybody who's involved in national hunt racing's heart, I'm sure.
So Native River, he's back again for more, and I know you had something in your eye after his win at Sandown. It was an amazing win, and the way he did it just showed to all of us. Anyway, it seemed like he was good as ever.
Yeah, he's done nothing wrong in the last however many years, since I think in 20 runs over fences, his worst position was 4th, and that was in a Gold Cup. So, but his we've had a tough winter. I haven't been running very well, and then you go and run good old Native River, and he goes and puts you back in a great position. He's the highest rated horse in England, chaser in England again now, and he deserves to be on his performances. I think as he's got a bit older, he is a bit ground dependent. We want a bit of soft ground just to slow the rest down, really. But he's in great shape at home and deserves his place in the lineup.
He certainly does. And him and Dickie just they'll do the same, I'd imagine. Jump out and say, "Catch me if you can." Will that run Frodon into problems? Will you take Frodon? How do you see that sort of pace angle playing out?
I haven't spoken to Dickie about it yet, but I personally love Frodon in it for Native River. I was glad Jarl Enki was in the Sandown race, because he doesn't need to make it all the run. He doesn't need to do all the donkey work. With that, Frodon can sort of take him along for a couple. If he's not going as quick as Dickie wants, he'll jump up sides and push it on a little bit more.
And what about Lost in Translation? He was fabulous in the race last year. He's the most beautiful horse, Grade 1 winner at Aintree. But things have gone a bit awry since. And you must be really scratching your head with him, because he promises so much.
Yeah, he did promise so much, but it just hasn't happened for him. Like this season especially has been tough for him. He went to Haydock on ground that he hated, and then in the King George he bled after a couple of miles. They were desperate to get a run into him in the Denman, and for 90%, if you stop the race 3 out, you thought, well, he's back to somewhere near his best. But then he stopped. We had him home. We just scoped him to make sure he hadn't bled again, and he was absolutely clean. He's had a bloody hard couple of weeks, to be honest with you. He's a big 17-hand plus horse who basically hasn't had a run for 12 months. He's had a lot of graft. He looks much fitter at home. He's obviously got a lot of questions to answer.
Two really exciting horses for the big one, and I know you're looking forward to the week. It's a week that you absolutely love. So good luck from all of us, and thank you so much for your time, Joe.
Cheers, Alice.
So Joe Tizard, and news, of course, last week that he's going to take over the licence as soon as he's finished the modules from his dad, Colin. So this is probably the last festival that Colin will have runners, and wouldn't it be brilliant if he could add that Gold Cup? It'd be brilliant. But another horse that we all want to hear about, and we've got two people who know him very well, is Champ. And Champ, extraordinary preparation, running over 2 miles. But Barry, let's start by going back and looking at last year's RSA, because from where we were all standing, it looked very, very unlikely that he would end up where he did. For you, it was a tricky race to ride, wasn't it?
Yeah, he didn't travel brilliantly and he didn't jump brilliantly, but he hadn't schooled that well before the race. But I was nursing and not fully committing. And when I saw Manila Indo miss the last, I thought I had a chance. Now I had about 8 or 9 lengths to make up. But I got stuck in and straight away he started to find. And probably at about this stage, I knew it was in the bag because I had time to get there. So it was a great performance. But if you ask me when he pulled up, the next race this fella's going to win is a 2 mile chase in Newbury on reasonable ground, I'd have said you're on something.
So were you, it felt like Nicky's hands were tied. Nicky is the maestro at producing horses for Cheltenham, so who are any of we to question how he prepares them for it? But it did seem, AP and Barry, like an interesting decision. I know it ended up quite late. AP, what's been going on with the horse? Why had he not managed to get a run in earlier on in the season?
He was just slow to come back, Alice. His wind actually touched up a little bit, and then he just was slow to come back. It took a long time to get him ready. He's a very gross horse. When the Demon was put back a week, it was just going to be too close to be running him over that distance before the Gold Cup. And he actually had been, I don't think he's short of pace as such, but he'd been schooling better. He ran well at Newbury. Look, Alban Photo deserves, loads and loads of respect. He's won 2 Gold Cups, as Ruby said, when he won in 2019. He beat the likes of Native River and that outstayed him, Annabelle Fly, Bristol de Mai, pretty good, really good staying horses. He's going to be very, very difficult to beat. But I suppose if there is, to be fair, I suppose it looks a deeper race than it did last year. I think A Plutar and Champ are less exposed at this distance than a Santini or a Native River, the horses that have been behind him the last couple of years. So it'll be a great race. Obviously, I'd love Champ to win.
You've been doing an awful lot of work with Henrietta Knight, and Nico de Boinville's been going with him and jumping with Hen and working away with him. Barry, from your point of view, as a jockey where he's been set alight and made the running in a 2 mile graded race, will it be tricky to then settle him in a Gold Cup now once he's been sort of lit up like that?
I think the pace they're going to go, with Frodon and Native River in the race, there's going to be plenty of pace. So I'd say it won't be a big problem. You're lucky enough that the first couple of fences are uphill. You turn away from the stands, you're running uphill again. So that just takes a little bit of phase out. If you have a downhill run early, you can set them alight. I think he's got every chance to settle, mostly through the strong pace. So yeah, the way he jumped was a great indication of his well-being, I thought. Jumped so much better this year than last year. So it's he proved as well than last year how well he stays.
Hey Ruby, back in the room. Nice to see you. Nice glowing red face there, looking lovely.
Thanks, Alice. I think there's whatever motorway we're on now is closed as well. Whatever's going on in the UK.
Oh no! So that's really improving your humour. Let's have a look. Let's have a look at the market for the Gold Cup and just see what else we've been there. Well, of course, we've talked about A Plutar. What about Royal Pagaille, Josh? I'm interested in this horse. That's the only horse that Rich Ritchie has in training in England, and a novice. Bidding to be a Conagry and win a Gold Cup as a novice. What do you make of him?
I completely respect the decision to go to the Gold Cup. A Gold Cup contender doesn't come around very often, and I'm glad that they chose this. It adds to the spectacle. I'm not sure if he's up to it yet. He was very impressive at Haydock, but he's got to come on for that and step up again. You wouldn't put it past him, but I'm not particularly sure.
It's interesting, though, isn't it, Ruby? Because he's very not dissimilar to Chacun pour Soi. Came over from France, got an injury almost immediately, had over a year off, and then has come back a bigger, stronger horse this season. Roy Pagaille, is he a Gold Cup horse to you?
I don't know, Alice. He's won 2 handicaps, one at Kempton and one at Haydock. Look, the Peter Marsh performance with his rating and the way he won looks pretty good on the book, figure-wise. But I'm not sure about the strength of the race. He has plenty of experience. I know he's only a novice, but he's 10 runs over fences, quite a few of those in France. I think it's a big step up from the races he's been in to what he's going to encounter on Friday. The pace of the race, I think everything about it will be a big, big ask for him.
It's interesting, though, isn't it? The Gold Cup, there's often really good each-way value with 10-1 plus horses that just stay really well. And horses like Santini in there, who's second in the race last year and ran on ground that apparently didn't suit him last time, looks a big price. Who for you guys is the each-way value? If you think Album Photo, you're all agreed that he's going to win his 3rd Gold Cup.
A Plutar for me.
A Plutar for you, Josh?
Not sure about each way value, but I've taken on Album Photo the last 2 years and got my fingers burnt. I've not learnt my lesson. Champ would be for me. I think his jumping was fantastic at Newbury. I've no doubt that he's got the most talent in the race, and it's just a case of putting it all together, and I'm prepared to take that risk.
Barry?
I think Champ is the danger to Album Photo, and I think Santini is each way value.
AP?
Yeah, I'm a Barry. I do think that Champ hopefully is a big chance. I actually seen Santini sculling with Headgear on the other day. It definitely has lit him up, and he obviously just got beaten by Album Photo last year. I think he's definitely the each way chance. I think the Headgear will definitely help.
Ruby, we've got a question from our audience, which is, if you could relive one of your best festival rides all over again, which one would it be?
I'd say Colorado Star in the Gold Cup, Alice. And I don't mind if it's all 7 or all 9. Either or will do me just fine.
You'd happily go back to those great days. Great memories for all of us too. So, guys, your best bets, please, for day 4. Let's start with you, Josh.
Be 3rd time lucky in the County Hurdle and Gentleman to Me in the Martin Pipe.
Blimey, you're going for those handicap tips, aren't you? Bold boy. Like it. It's a young man's game, Rubes. It's a young man's game. What's your best bet for day 4?
I think Album Photo will win, and after watching him during the week, Bill Away in the Fox Hunters.
Oh, okay, nice one. Barry?
I thought Ellie May and the Mayor's Chase.
Oh, yeah, nice one. AP?
Yeah, I was going to go for Ellie May. I like Fergal O'Brien's horse, Ala Felipe, and the Albert Bartlett. Thought he won well in Haydock.
So, Josh, I want your best bet for the week and your dark horse for the week, please.
I think the best bet would be Intucus in the Grand Annual, and the dark horse Mount Tider in the Kim Muir. I think she'll be Denise Foster's only runner in the race, and she's not been up to this trip yet, but she's a point-to-point winner, and I think she could be unexposed. Ran behind Corriga last time out. I think she's slipping under the radar.
Rubes, can we have your best bet of the week and your dark horse, please?
My best bet is actually 3 horses. I think Shishkin, Monkfish, and Envoy Allen in the treble. If you took the titles off those races, all 3 of those horses would be. And I'm afraid Patrick Mullins robbed my dark one. I think Gallop in the Champ as well. And I think it'll be in the Martin Pipe.
Okay. Barry?
I like Chacun pour Soi in the Champion Chase, and I think Epatant in the Champion Hurdle. And my dark horse is 300 through 5 in the Albert Bartlett. He's 4 from 5.
Great. AP?
I think Roxanne will win the Mayor's Hurdle, and I like Craig Nish of Nicky Henderson's in the Coral Cup.
Okay. And Ruby, since we've got you and we've got just a minute left, just extraordinary numbers of horses coming over from Willie Mullins's. You were saying to 55 to 60 strong team coming over. The logistics are crazy. Obviously, Patrick's not riding, but an amazing team of talent, really. I mean, it looks like he's going to absolutely blow us out of the water, isn't he?
He's going to have a good go at it anyway, Alice. Look, they seem to be in good form, and he's very happy with them. And look, they were in great form at the Dublin Racing Festival. If that form is true, Cheltenham could be really exciting.
Looks like it's a formidable team anyway. Well, boys, you've been absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much to all of you for a brilliant insight into what's going to be a great week. It's going to be a week like we've never seen before, but for sure, the sport on show is going to be as good as any of us have ever enjoyed. And so that is something that won't change. I know all of you are going to be very involved. For all of you at home, please do stay tuned. You can watch the action. You can watch all of the action. Join us on ITV. We'll be doing the opening show every morning from 9:30, and then we'll be live on air with 6 races. Racing TV will be bringing you all the action as well. You can also get up to date with everything on the website www.cheltenham.co.uk for Race Day Live. And every evening, do join us for the Nightcap with Glenn Farkless. We've got a really fantastic evening with Chris Hughes. I know, Josh, you're joining him on Monday. I'm with him on Wednesday. We've got Ed Chamberlain with him on Friday. Rishi Prasad is with him as well. So do join us for that, 7 till 7:30 every evening, reviewing the day and looking forward to our next days of action. Guys, thank you so much. You've been a star. I know normally your Cheltenham Festival preview nights, you're there bantering with each other, but I have to say you've been completely fantastic. So thank you so much. Thank you to all of you for watching. Stay tuned for us for a brilliant week of action. That's it from us. Good night.
Thank you.
They're off. The Unibet Champion Hurdle of 2020. The final flight, Epperton jumps to the front. Epperton is in front, and she's not for catching. Driven out by Barry Geraghty. Epperton sinks the champion hurdle.
A jumping exhibition from Politologue. He's run them ragged this afternoon. He's jumped superbly. A 5th festival run, a 1st festival victory. The champion chasers Politologue.
Min picks up well. It's a big jump. Min from St. Calvados. Min is hanging on grimly to win the Ryanair.
The final flight on the Stayers hurdle. Listener Oscar led by a length and a half, and Listener Oscar has taken the Stayers hurdle.
Album photo on the far side of Lost in Translation. Album photo, back-to-back Gold Cup. Album photo, the 8th multiple winner of the Cheltenham Gold Cup.